What should a Christian's life look like? Should we be able to tell a difference between someone who follows Christ and someone who doesn't? Hi, I'm Ken LeBrun, and this is Faith Points. Jesus said they'll be able to tell you're a Christian by the love you have for others. It'll just show. What else is different? In Romans chapter 12 and verse 2, it says, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So there's a transformation that takes place in our mind. Titus chapter 2, beginning in verse 11, it says, "For the grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lusts, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world." So soberly, righteously, and godly. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 15 says that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world. So we stand out. Philippians 4 verse 8. Wonderful principles here. It says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things." So that's a guide to show us what we should be thinking about. Let's go over the list again. Whatsoever things are true. So if it's not true, don't even waste your mental energy on it. Okay? Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report. So we don't want to focus on all the bad news that's going on. That just draws our minds down. We should focus on the things that are of good report. If there be any virtue, and if there be any praise. Is there anything to praise the Lord about? Good things. Think on these things. If we fill our mind with those things which are good, it will build us up. You see, our mind is, and our whole being is based upon what we feed it. And so our mind is affected by the things that we think about. Colossians chapter 3, verse 16 says, "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly." I love that verse. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. So, our music choices. We should be focusing on psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. That's what will draw us up closer to the Lord and be a blessing to us. 1 John chapter 2, verse 15 says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God abideth forever." Job chapter 31, verse 1. Job said, "I made a covenant with my eyes." See, he decided that he was going to choose carefully what he allowed his eyes to look upon. "I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid?" So he's controlling his eyes. 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 9 says, "In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which becometh women professing godliness with good works." So our ornamentation should be good works, not all this outward showy stuff that's just designed to draw attention to self. 1 Peter chapter 3 says the same thing in verse 3, whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on of apparel, all of this fancy showy stuff. But let it be the hidden man of the heart. That's what our ornamentation should be. It should be the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God of great price. There's the true ornamentation of a Christian. Isaiah chapter 33, verse 15, is a promise. It says, he that walketh righteously and speaketh uprightly, he that despiseth the gain of oppressions, that shaketh his hands from holding of bribes, that stoppeth his ears from hearing of blood, and shutteth his eyes from seeing evil, he shall dwell on high. His place of defense shall be the munitions of rocks. Bread shall be given him. His waters shall be sure. God is going to take care of his people. But notice the condition there, that we stop our ears from hearing of blood and shut our eyes from seeing evil. All of that stuff that's on the television or on the internet, that there's so much on there about bloodshed and evil and all of this, that's not for us. As Christians, that's not what we should be focusing on. If we just turn away from those things to the things that God has for us, the things that are lovely and pure and upright and of good report, then the promise is that God will take care of our needs and provide for us when we need it. Psalm 19 verse 14 sums it all up. And this is a prayer that we should each be praying. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. While we're talking about lifestyle, we don't want to forget that maintaining our physical health is important to God. For more on that subject, see the video entitled Embracing Wholeness. And this would be a good time to remind you that your interaction with this channel helps to bring it to other people's attention. So go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. See you later.